Hey y'all, it's your girl Soul,
And I'm Dom.
and this is
Pretty Girl Privilege Podcast.
Period.
Three, two, one.
And today, we thought it was really important. I think we all think it's really important to talk about mental health in the Black community, and just how it can be taboo and how it's actually becoming something that we do talk about more. And with that being said, we want to have a therapist on who is one of my good friends, but more importantly, she's a therapist. And so go ahead and introduce yourself, Amber.
So my name is Amber, and I am a licensed associate counselor. I am currently an in-home therapist and with little kids.
Mm-hmm.
And I am a mental health coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
Due to COVID, I had to take a little break from therapy. Just because I'm going into homes and I'm exposing myself continually to COVID. So
Gotcha.
I kind of had to put my health first and take a break back.
Yeah.
From that, I've been doing that for...
I was going to ask you.
It's been, like, I go on, like, binges where I'll work a couple years doing in-home, and then it is very exhausting being a therapist. So I have to, like, make sure, like, my mental is right.
Mm-hmm.
So when my mental is not right, it's like, all right, girl, take a leave.
Yeah.
So right now, like this particular one, I was doing it for almost a year, and then COVID hit.
Okay.
Actually, COVID hit like 6 months in.
Okay.
No, actually, COVID hit a month in. Actually,
Oh.
but I continued to do it
Mm-hmm.
for a while before I was like, all right, I gotta stop for health reasons. But I've been a mental health coordinator for like years.
Gotcha. And you also go to therapy.
Yes, I've been going to therapy for over a year now. I started going to therapy because my mom died.
Okay.
And that was just kind of like my tipping point.
Mm-hmm.
I was cussing everybody out. My
Yeah.
kids, they getting cussed out. My husband getting cussed out for no reason. I'm cussing my kids out for stuff that they're doing that kids do.
Right.
So my husband like set me down like, Em, you gotta go talk to somebody.
Wow.
And I was like so against it. And I was like, I went to school for therapy. Like, you want me to go talk to somebody?
Wow. Yeah, that's interesting.
And he was just like, you gotta do something because like this ain't working. So I finally was just like, whatever, like I'm gonna just go. So I had like my stipulations. I needed somebody that was not old. I wanted a Black therapist. She had to be a woman.
Mm-hmm.
Like I had all these things, and I was like, I already in my mind made up like I'm not gonna like her.
Mm-hmm.
And I got in there and I loved her.
Wow.
From the first, it was her accent. Like she had an accent. I was like, "Ooh, girl, like you want my friend."
It's like those little things that connect you to someone.
Yeah, so it's actually been like life changing for me.
Wow.
And like there's been times where like I'm done. I'm done with therapy. I'm not going back. And then something else in my life happens, and I'm like, all right, I gotta go back.
So why do you say you're done? Like, is it because you feel like you're like okay without it, or do you feel like, or do you have like a session where you're like, I can't go back?
I think it's a combination of both. Like
Okay.
I think that she makes me talk about things that I do not want to talk about.
Yeah.
And it makes me uncomfortable.
Mhm.
And I think people are comfortable with being comfortable. Like
Mm-hmm.
we stay in our safe zone.
Mm-hmm.
But also I think that sometimes my life feels like it mellows out,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like I'm good.
Yeah.
Not realizing that I have like all this childhood crap that is
Yeah.
like just following me into my adulthood.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking like I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, yeah, I'm good. Like I'm functioning, but
Yeah.
I'm not at, my mental health is not at 100%.
Right.
So like that's when I realized like, all right, and like this is something that you're gonna have to go to kind of like, I don't even know if it's going to be lifelong for me, but
Mhm.
I'm okay if it is.
Right.
Like I like talking to her.
That's good. I actually want to just piggyback off of that because I went to therapy a few years ago for the first time, just because I felt like I just kept going through the same things over and over. It was actually with men, to be honest. Like, you know, like I just kept choosing the same type of guy, and it wasn't a good type of guy. So I was like, let me go to therapy and like figure out what's wrong with me. And I went to 2 sessions and never went back.
Yeah.
And the first session was okay. It was good, actually. I actually took something away in the first session. And then the second session, I just felt like the therapist was judging me. And I left. I was just like, I'm never going back. And I never went back. And I right after that, I like had a baby. And my life just shifted so much that I just kind of like just kept it pushing. You know, like I never went back to try to find a new therapist or anything like that. I didn't even honestly think I needed one. Like, but I will honestly say, like, starting this podcast made me feel like I need to go back to therapy.
No, for real. I need to find a therapist.
Right? Because it's like we get so vulnerable, and then you watch yourself back, and you're like, ugh, like, you need to work through some of that, you know? And it's just like, it made me feel like I need to go back to therapy. But I just say that to say, like, we talk about this. This is my good friend, so we've talked about this, and she's a therapist. So I'm like, girl, I didn't like my therapist. And like one thing that she would say to me, and I think any therapist would say, or anyone who goes to therapy would say, don't get discouraged if you start with a therapist and you don't click with that particular therapist. Like, move on, go to another therapist, you know. And in the Black community, I don't even want to say it's taboo to go to therapy anymore, because I feel like we all are, like, we woke up. Like, you know, like, we not, like, out here acting like therapy is a problem. We all know it's okay. Go to therapy. Like, you know, definitely pray, do whatever you need to do spiritually, but therapy is okay too. Like, and so I don't want to say like it's taboo or anything, but I think that that's one thing that we might not be taught, because you might be a first generation therapy goer. Like, I don't, you know, what's a better way to say that?
For a lot of people, we were raised not to talk about it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And then if you did talk about it, you didn't want to be judged.
Yeah.
Off of whatever you spoke about.
Yeah.
Because maybe people around you didn't feel as though you should have felt that way, or you know, it's just so many things I feel like in the Black community that's kind of like pushed aside.
Yeah.
And a lot of people just don't know how to talk. They don't know how to voice how they feel. And they don't know how to have those conversations. Like you said, it's something my therapist wants to talk about, and I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah. A lot of us don't know how to identify our emotions.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I learned that. Like, I was a grown woman before, and even now sometimes I'm like, I just feel awful. I don't know what it is. You know, like, we don't, our emotional intelligence is not up there because of that, because we just, it's like been taught to like just keep it pushing, like, you know, just roll with the punches.
Dust yourself off and try again.
Like, you gotta just keep going, you know. And it gets to the point where you don't even identify your emotions. You just like, whatever.
It is what it is.
You know, like, I got it.
Shit happens.
Exactly. So with that being said, let's talk about like generational curses.
Ooh, girl. Oh my gosh, we're gonna
I know. Because it's, I don't know, obviously in the Black community, we just have some like deep, like generational curses that just follow us all. And it's like any Black family that you meet, it's like we're not a monolith, Black people, but any Black family that you meet, you already know,
you too?
You got the weird stuff going on. You know what I'm saying? So like, let's talk about like what type of general curses would you like to see broken?
Let me see. So the whole like what happens in this house stays in this house thing.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I want y'all to stop that. Like, for real, stop.
Okay.
Because, and I get like, if mommy messing with this man, don't be gonna go tell your grandma that mommy, like, we get that. Like, that's not what I mean. Like, because what happens is you teach your kids this, and then your kids end up, you know, not to say that this is what's happening, but like they can end up being abused. And it might not be by you. It might be by your grandpa or your daddy, somebody they trust. And so like now they're being abused, but you done told them what happens in this house stays in this house.
Yeah.
So now you have it started when they were 5.
Right.
And now they're 15. And now we're going to classify them as a behavioral kid. Like, oh, they're off the hook. But we're not going to talk about all that trauma that they went through.
Right.
But you taught your kid not to talk about these things. And so now you have a grown woman or a grown man well into their 20s, and they don't know how to effectively express their emotions. So they are going into dysfunctional relationships. They are accepting toxic situations because it is normal for them. They are so normal to dysfunction and to like just, you know, like any type of display, you know, of love, like might feel normal for them, even though it's not right.
Right.
Because this is what it was in childhood and nobody addressed that.
Right.
You know, and I don't think that nobody really makes that connection. Because we always put adults and kids as different, like 2 different people. You are just the adult version of your childhood trauma. Like,
right.
And that's, you know, like people tend to ignore that. So, and I'm not saying like, you know, for everybody, it's not about like go out and tell the world, like, this is what happened.
No, but I love what you said, though. You said just because you're an adult doesn't mean you're not your childhood trauma.
Yeah, for sure. I think
because I think this is what I feel like most people measure how, I'm not going to say messed up you are, but how affected you are. Yeah. They usually measure it by, well, I'm not on drugs. You know, I got a good job. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. You're being an adult, but that doesn't change the fact that you still have these things that you harbor inside of you day after day after day that you need to talk to somebody about. And I feel like people hide behind that shell. Like, oh, I have this great job. I'm vice president here. Who cares? If you go home at night and you feel terrible. I think that was a great point that a lot of people miss. It's like, oh, well, that was when I was young. It's still you.
It's definitely still you.
I'm still that same person 25 years ago when I was 5.
Yeah. You got to work through that. And it's still, now you're an adult and now you're responsible for other humans.
Exactly.
You know? And that's why we got to break these generational curses. Yeah. You know, that's why we have to go to therapy and make sure we know what's going on with us so that our babies, because at the end of the day, like, we all know this, like, we were just talking about this like a couple episodes ago where we were saying, like, our parents would tell us, do as I say, not as I do.
That
and
is
it's
the
like,
dumbest thing.
It really is. It's like, we get it because it's like, learn from my mistakes.
Exactly. Like, I want you to be better than me, but at the same time, like, as a child, like, and I've learned that being a mother, children learn from seeing and doing. They don't really learn from what you tell them.
Yeah.
Because their mind is moving at a mile a minute. Like, it's kind of like, we were talking to somebody I was actually talking to somebody recently, and they were saying how, it was my dad, actually, now I think about it. He was saying, like, after 65, he's like, life is going to be so boring because I'm going to go back to being a baby. You know, like, he was like, you live twice a baby, once an adult.
Yeah, my mom said that too.
That's crazy.
Like, and he was saying
that.
So,
yeah. No, for sure. Absolutely. And I think that seeing is believing. So it's like, like, I know for me, like, my parents would be like, or my dad would be like, I want you to do this, that, and the other because I didn't do it. And it's like, all right, Dad, but I didn't see it could be done. So I want to do it, but I don't know if I can because I'm just following your footsteps just naturally, not because I want to. Like, we talk about this all the time, how you got to work our mom out of us. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I catch myself being Karen all the time. Like, I'm like, Karen. My mom's name is Karen. She's not a Karen. But I catch myself being Karen all the time, and I'm just like, no, you know, it's not that being Karen is a bad thing, but it's just like, I'm my own person. I should be better than my mom. You know what I mean? Like, I should try to be better than my mom. I'm sure my mom would want me to be better than her, for sure. So it's just like, I don't know, breaking those generational curses is like, it's hard.
You first have to identify them.
You have to identify
and recognize them. That.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, that was not normal.
Right.
Because I think too, like, we normalize stuff that's not okay. Like, why? I don't know why we do it. I think it's just, you know, the black family as a whole is just so broken.
I just think it's you're not the only one.
Oh, girl.
Like, you ever had a problem and you come to somebody with something, they be like, well, you know how many people in the world are going through that? Or, like, you know, when somebody tries to belittle how you feel about a matter or something you might have experienced that might cause you trauma forever.
Yeah.
You want to know what? Going through this grieving process, that has been my experience. Like, people will literally, like, so, just a little background. Like, Dom knows this, but, like, so, I lost my dad in 2011. In 2019, I lost my mom. 2021, 2020, I lost my father-in-law. 2021, I lost my nana. So anybody that knows me, my nana is my baby, like my whole heart. Like, we don't have any boundaries. Like, that is my mom. I am her daughter. She is my daughter. I am her mom. Like, I'm literally like, Nana, did you eat? Like, what do you want to eat? Like, when it's Christmas, okay, my kids got 40 gifts, Nana gotta get 40 gifts. Like, I'm literally like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that was my baby. Like, that was a heart dart.
She raised you. She was more or less like...
That was the one piece of stability I had my whole life. But I think that what's happening is, like, you know, and this is fresh. Like, I just lost her January 4th. I lost my mom and some people don't know this, I lost my mom January 2nd of 2019. My grandma January 4th of 2021. I buried both of them on January 9th.
Mm-hmm.
So January is not nice to me.
Yeah,
Like we can skip that month,
and now you always gonna have that trauma.
Yeah,
and
not
so
always
like,
no, but it is.
Yeah,
like no matter what she tries to do, and that day rolls around, it's
when
gonna
the
be
month
heavy on her
rolls
heart.
around.
No, every one of them dates though too.
Yeah, for sure.
Are gonna be triggers as soon as that date pop up on your phone or your calendar.
Mm-hmm.
You just automatically, and that's just from me, from losing people and having those specific dates. That you know, it definitely does affect you.
Heck yeah.
And I think too, like, what's been happening is like my friends want me to feel better. So they say anything to make me feel better. And I just would be wanting to be like, please, not today. Like, because I'm going to cuss you out. Like, and I
do
that?
that?
No, you don't do that. Wait. No, you don't do that. Like, it's not everybody, but like, there are some people, and a lot of times it's not even like my close friends. Because I think my close friends, like,
kind of know you. Yeah.
But it'll be people that'll be like, you won't be all right. Like, duh, I know that.
Yeah,
like, that's not what I'm saying right now. Or to be people that's saying like try to compare my grief to like somebody else's grief. Like, oh well, like just think you doing all right. You probably better than this person. Like what?
No, that's what I'm saying. Like they try to like, oh, I know somebody else going through. Like it's like, I'm not gonna lie. When I see, especially if I can't identify with it, I'm never gonna tell you how to feel,
right,
and what to do. I'm just gonna let you know if you need anything,
I'm here.
Hit me up, and I'm praying for you. Like, and I'm good for saying that. Like, I had a friend recently hit me up about a situation that I've never been through, and I told her that I can't sit and tell you everything gonna be all right. You gonna be good, because I ain't never been through it. I don't even know if I would be good.
Right.
But I'm here for you, and I feel like people have to start doing that too. It's not, oh, I feel you, girl. You gonna be good. You don't feel me, especially if you've never been in my shoes.
Right.
It's a difference if you're telling me from experience, like, yo, girl, I lost my mom too. You know,
right.
It's gonna be tough. You know, at that point, you put me on game. But if you can't relate to the situation, just try to be sensitive in what you say to people.
Just listen.
Exactly. And pray.
And I think too, like, even if you've been through that situation, be specifically
be
with grief.
Too,
be mindful, because people do this. I know exactly how you feel.
No, don't say
like,
that.
No, you don't.
Like,
exactly. No, you don't. Like,
really
you know what I'm saying? And I feel like they're coming from a good space. Like,
no, it's definitely good intentions.
But I think it's like, you don't know. Like, you don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, even like when people be like, Dad, Amber, like, you good. Like, and I'm like, do you know I don't sleep at night? Like, I take melatonin and I still don't fall asleep. Like, I'm literally watching the minutes go by. Like,
right.
Do y'all know that? Like, do y'all know, like, you know, my grandma lived with me. Like, I can't open her door. Like, I gotta walk by that door every day. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, like, yes, I carry this weight very well. Like, and I know I done been through this grieving process like a million times over. I know that I'm going to be okay, but it doesn't make it hurt any less. Like, and I think that people have to be like more understanding and like compassionate to people. Like,
be more mindful.
Be mindful. And just sometimes I'm teaching myself this. I've been saying this to all my friends, like, I'm about to like just have a week of silence where I don't say anything. Sometimes just don't say anything. Like, you know, just listen, be there, like, be a presence, but just don't say anything, because sometimes you don't know the right thing to say.
That's what I'm saying.
And if you just try to create small talk and stuff, you may say something stupid that may really affect somebody, and they're not gonna forget that, you know?
That's what I'm saying.
And it's just like, sometimes, just like you said, just pray for them. Like, don't, like, love on them, tell them I'm here for you.
Yeah.
But, like, you know, I know with me and Amber, I like try to talk to her about other things, you know?
Yeah, she gonna text me the other day, like, let me know when you're in a good space to talk about this.
Let's talk about that. So, and I have a lot of friends who are therapists, I feel like. It's weird. Well, like, my very best friend is a therapist as well, and they're like first cousins, you know, it's weird. So,
I was gonna say, who that? I forgot. Sorry.
Ebony,
I love you.
Shout out to Ebony, yes. So, like, I feel like all my friends are therapists, or a lot of my friends are therapists, just because two of my main friends are therapists. And so, you've been diagnosing me, I feel like, since you became a therapist.
Technically, I'm not.
I mean, not like, but friend diagnosis. Like, girl, sound like you might be a little bit but not like, but anyway, but I'm just saying that, like, we've been practicing, like, things that will be, like, if I want to reach out to Amber and talk about something, when I know that she's going through this grief right now, I will text her first and say, hey, when you have the energy to talk about something that doesn't mean anything, something, if you want to gossip with me, call me, you know, because I want you to have the energy. Like, I don't want to put that on you in your time of grief.
And you have to make sure that, and people don't do this. Like, and I think it's just, nobody ever thinks to do it. Like, you have, before you pick up the phone, text somebody and lay your crap on them, like, you have got to make sure they have the emotional space to receive whatever it is you're trying to give them. Like, you might think it ain't nothing serious, but they might woke up bad that day, like, and it's too heavy for them. And I think that sometimes, like, we dump on our friends, like, because that's what friends do, like, and we're not doing it to be malicious or nasty or anything. Like, we're doing it because we genuinely love that person and they are our person. Like,
and to play devil's advocate as well, we also have to be acceptant when our friends take time away. So that they don't do that.
For sure.
Because there's times when I take time away from my friends because I'm going through a lot of shit and I know they're going through a lot of shit. So what is the point of me adding my shit on top of your shit? Like, and you dropping your shit on my shit? Because now we all just sitting in shit and nothing changed. Like, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes you gotta have those times where you just step away.
I literally preach, because I don't even have friends that wouldn't let me do that, because y'all know I am the type of friend that might disappear for 2 months. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
we'll be like, you know, Dom and her little...
like, because I might just be going through a phase, but I don't even know if you notice that you do this, but like, when you call me, like, the first thing you'll say, not all the time, but a lot of the times, if like, you know, I don't know, I don't know what vibe you be feeling, but you'll be like, hey, I'm sorry, girl, but I'm just having a really hard day, and I just needed somebody to talk to about it. And I'm just like, all right, you know what I'm saying? But you, like, introduce it like that to where it's like,
no,
girl,
so that I'm not stressing you out.
Right.
Because I don't know, because you could be in the middle of going through something catastrophic yourself.
And if I am, I'll tell you. I'm like, girl.
No, that's what I'm saying. There's times we have. You be like, girl, I just had to whoop August's ass.
Oh, girl! I do not need my
I'm just saying, like, I've been calling you to tell you about something crazy Makai done did. You like, yeah, I just had to whoop August's ass. I just burnt the goddamn dino nuggets. I call you back. I be like, yes, girl, because shit is
I don't
been
be
wild.
abusing my child, y'all.
She don't. No, we be saying it figuratively.
Yeah, we know.
I be
August
acting
from the house. We know that.
August don't get
no,
he's
real
spoiled.
He
but
is spoiled, y'all.
house.
But I'm just saying, like,
that's another thing.
And you're honest about
that's
what
a
you know
generational
too.
That's a
So it
generational.
go both ways.
Yeah, for sure. But that's a generational curse breaker that needs to happen. The beating thing. We should have that conversation.
I don't beat my kids. That's what I'm saying. We don't beat our kids.
Yeah, we don't beat our kids.
We say stuff like that, but
I did. I got my
I
ass
was
beat.
a very good kid, and
I think I got a beat in a couple.
No, I think
got
that
beaten.
I always was scared to get a beating. Like,
Me
I was
too.
always that kid, but my dad didn't beat us. Like, he pinched us, and that was enough for me.
My
Like,
mom was a
My dad
plucker.
would pluck me. Yeah, he
My
would
mom
pluck
my
was a
dad
plucker.
would like pinch and twist. Like,
Yeah.
that was enough.
Yeah.
And like, he would do more like things that I felt like were worse than a beating. Like, he had this white van, it looked like the Scooby-Doo van,
Mm-hmm.
and it, the freaking horn on that van sounded like toot toot.
I cannot.
And he would come up to like the basketball. I'm like, Dad, I'm like, Dad. The basketball game over when we cheered, and I'm like, come get me.
Yeah.
And I swear he would wait until like the game was over and everybody be sitting outside. And he'd come up in that white van, and be like, toot toot.
Yeah.
And the muffler was real loud, and I'm like, that's embarrassing. Like, and he'd
know
open
what?
the door, like, come on, Amber. Like, stop, Dad. Like, just beat me. I'd rather you beat me. Right
Beat
now.
me than that, you know, for sure. No, but it's funny because my dad, we talked about this. Oh, I don't know if we did actually, but my dad was very strict, very, very strict. And it's funny because like, it's not funny, but when we were young, he would beat us like with a belt, like on our butts, you know, if we did something bad. And as we got older, like I always say, I'm the youngest, kind of. My dad had a daughter that was 20. I have a sister who's 20 years younger than me. So she's the youngest, but for 20 years I was the youngest. And I got the least amount of beatings. Like, and my dad later like apologized to us. He actually told us like, I'm sorry. Like, I don't know. Like, I was beating y'all because my I got beaten, you know?
Yeah.
And it was he broke the generational curse. And he was just like, with me, he had stopped very early on, and with my sister, he did too. It was never like abusive beating where it was like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
but
no,
like,
but niggas got beatings.
yeah, niggas got beatings. If I'm keeping it a beat, like I got beatings. And I always say, I thank God that my dad was strict. Cause I just feel like everybody knew I was scared of my dad. So it was like, I wasn't really going to be out here wilding because I was scared of my dad. And for me, that worked. I don't think you should. I don't know if everybody should make their kids scared of them, but for me, that worked. So.
Well, see, my mom made me scared of her without having to beat me.
Which is good.
Like, my mom had a strong presence. Like, you talk about a presence. Like, my mom ain't have to say much.
Yeah.
As soon as her teeth got tight, she started talking to me like this so much.
That's what I want to do.
It was like, okay, shut the fuck up, sit the fuck down.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's how I'm already working on my look with August, where I look at him and he just stops, because that's it. It's crazy. Like, me now as an adult trying to discipline my 2-year-old child. It's like, how do I do this? Like, I don't know how to discipline my child. Like, I got beaten. You know what I mean?
You want to know what though? I think that, and this is probably just like my therapy mind.
Mm-hmm.
You have to build a relationship.
Yes.
And I think that's what a lot of parents lack with their kids, and that's why y'all beating them like all the time. Because, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, me and my son is 5.
Mm-hmm.
He not bad. Like, he cries a lot, but like, he's just a sensitive kid. Like, but he literally like is very respectful. Like, I can send him anywhere, and I ain't gotta worry about him jumping on nobody's couch, acting like he ain't got no sense, because he already know. Like, and I've never laid my hands. I don't have to beat him. Like, but I think that we have like such a strong relationship that he already knows what my expectations are.
Yeah.
But I know what his expectations are.
You guys
as his mother. Like,
communication with your kids.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we do bedtime together. Like, those things that people don't deem as important. Like, bedtime together, prayers together. Okay, bed. Like, do you want me to wash up? Do you want to wash yourself up? Like, you want me to brush your teeth? Do you want to do it yourself? But those little things, like, okay, you want to play with the Nerf gun? Mommy don't really feel like it, but you got 5 minutes. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, those are little things that I feel like build that relationship with your child. And it's like with any child, like even a teacher, you want that kid to behave in your classroom, build a relationship with them.
Yeah.
Ooh, child, yeah.
I bet you will not, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and that just goes to show you, like, a kid will wild out in this classroom with a teacher, go to another classroom and be an angel. Like, let's look at the dynamics of the relationship that they have with that teacher.
Honestly, like, what brought everything full circle, because it's so funny, because like when my dad did get older and like apologized to us, I remember him telling me, like, I just wish I wouldn't have been so strict, so y'all felt like y'all could talk to me about more.
Right.
Like, I don't like that, like, we'll go weeks without y'all calling me, or like, we don't have that relationship. And my mom was not strict at all, but my mom, she know everything about me. There's nothing to hide from my mom, and she's like that with all 3 of her kids, and she has a really good relationship with all of us. And she did also have my dad, who was a disciplinary parent, so she didn't have to discipline us, but she never had to discipline us, like, because she just knew what was going on. It really wasn't anything for her to discipline us about if she already knew. Like,
that's one thing I always liked about my mom. I always felt like she was a friend first, and I'm not saying in the sense of like we partying together, we doing these type of things together, but my mom always came to me beforehand, like, you're getting ready to go to high school, there's going to be people having sex. This is what they're going to be doing. Like, you need to let me know whenever you decide to have sex. And you need to protect yourself. Like, and, after my first experience, I was able to sit down with my mom and tell her. Without getting a beating or, her lashing out on me or being angry. She sat with me, and honestly, my mom cried. She was like, oh my God, like, I can't believe, like, my baby, like, she cried.
That's very good.
You're going to the gynecologist, like, the first thing you were going to the gyno. She was, you're going to get, and I appreciate her for that, because there's a lot of moms who turn a blind eye to their daughters because they don't want to believe my baby's having sex. My mom was like, I know you're going to have sex, because I was a young girl, and even if I wasn't having sex, it was other young girls I was cool with that was having sex. So people have sex, like, it's going to happen.
And I think, for me, it was a little different. Like, my grandma, my nana was my primary caregiver. So my grandma, when she died, she was 93. Like, so you are old fashioned, man. Like, we don't do that anymore. Like, she would think if you're outside in the car, you're having sex, you're gonna get pregnant. Like, everything she would pregnant. Like, no, man, we're not getting pregnant. So, but her thing is, she was drilling, like, schooling us. Like, you come home, you do your homework. Don't you eat no dinner until you finish that homework. Like, it would be nice to say, I'm hungry, like, let me just eat something while I'm doing this. But, like, my dad was, very much around, like, but my dad could be in the room, I would walk right by my dad and be like, Nana, I need this, like, because I already knew my Nana was like, all right, I'm gonna figure it out, like, you know what I'm saying? But I think because of that age difference, I couldn't tell my grandma. And then I like a boy, and I think I want to,
No, my grandma
and my dad absolutely not. Like he is just Anybody that knows anybody from Glassboro. No,
my
dad
don't got all his when I told him that I got my period. He was like, "You got your what?" Like you would have thought that the world crashed when I told him I got a period. He's like, "You got me."
Yeah.
But I think too, like
I'm like, chill out. Like it's okay.
It makes you like for me, like it made me. I was not in tune with emotions. I was very turned off from emotions. Like the only emotion that I have ever been comfortable until recently expressing was anger. Because that was safe. But under anger, you sad. Like, there's so many things under anger, but that's what I saw. Everybody angry in the house. Like, that's what they expressing. So that's what I'm gonna express. But, like it was very damaging to me because I've always been like, I'll talk to you about anything, but don't you ask me about how I feel about something because I don't know and I don't care. Like, that's off limits. We're not talking about that. And it took me, I would say, having kids, but really having my daughter is what was like, okay, you cannot grow up being like this. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like my son definitely softened me up. Like he brought out a side of me that I didn't even know existed, and then my daughter just heightened it. And it's like it's crazy because I'm like, dang, I wish like when I was younger I could like have experienced all these feelings. Like, right now I feel like I could cry. Like you could snap me like, oh my god.
But see, I feel like when you say being in tune with like that one emotion, I feel like I've always been in tune with two. And it's crazy because they kind of co-inflict. That's how I knew, like, I need therapy at some point. Okay. It's like anger and sorrow.
Okay.
Because immediately when I get angry, I cry.
Oh, okay.
Like, more or less, but I associate crying with everything, though. It's like crying is a part of every emotion for me. There's no...
happy.
It's like, I'm happy, I cry. I'm angry, I cry. Like... I'm sad, I cry. Like, it's just like everything is associated. That's why I was like, I think that, well, I mean, that made me want to open up more and talk about my emotions. So I had difficult conversations with people.
Yeah.
I'm just like, for some reason, no matter what emotion I feel, I still exhibit sorrow.
Right.
It shouldn't add up to that.
Right. Well, does crying equate to sorrow, though? Like,
no.
Okay.
I don't think it does, but like she said, though, it was like, I wasn't crying happy tears for the most part. It was usually because I was angry, or I was sad. So, but it's like with those two emotions, there was no
in between.
Exactly, it was a gray area.
Yeah.
So it'd be times when people thought that I was sad, but I was really upset. You know, and it's just like, I don't know. It's just like there was no line between the two. So that's why I said when she said like all I exhibit was anger, I was like, for me, I think I just always confused everybody my whole life with, well, if the girl's not crying, she's not angry or she's not, you know, but then when I did cry, half the time I was upset. I wasn't sad. Like, oh, she's sad. Like, you know, I feel like I kind of confused people with my emotions.
You know what's funny? I do that with laughing. Like, I laugh at
everything.
Like, it doesn't matter what it is. We could be at a funeral and I will laugh. Like, I just laugh at everything. Like, I'm really, I laugh at everything. Just everything that happens, I laugh. Whether it's like breaking my heart or it's making me, I laugh. And I don't cry around people, which I think.
I cry in closets.
Yeah, I'm a closet crier.
My mom was like that.
I know that can't be healthy. If I feel like my sister was crying the other day because she was crying all day to all her friends, and she told one of her friends on the phone, all right, I gotta stop crying because I'm about to be around Dom. I don't cry around Dom. Like me specifically, it's like she feels like she can't cry around me because I don't cry. I'm just like, I don't know. It's not that I don't want to cry. Sometimes I'll be like, man, I want to cry so bad, you know, like I just need a release, but I can't. Like, and then I start crying and I start laughing at myself.
And I think too,
I
like you have to feel, you have to feel comfortable being vulnerable.
Yes,
and that's the thing, like I'm not a person that's comfortable with being vulnerable because I feel like in my vulnerable state, that's where you can judge me. And I don't have time for you to be judging me because I'm going to cuss you out then. Right. And I don't want it to get to that point because then I'm going to be defensive. Right. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think that, you know, I feel like if I'm being vulnerable to somebody, it's somebody that I consider to be genuine. Yeah. And I think that if they say something that I don't necessarily like or agree with, I become defensive, but I don't think that they're doing it to be mean. It's like, girl, you need to hear this. Like, you need to hear some stuff that you don't want to hear. Or they're saying something to try to make me feel better. And it's like, no, I don't feel better because that's not what I was feeling. Like,
Right.
So I think it's just like you have to, one thing my therapist always tells me is literally every session, she says, Amber, show yourself some compassion.
Oh.
And I was like, okay, ma'am.
I like that. Like, have some grace with you.
Because I literally be like, I am not okay today. Like, I am not okay. And like, she's just like, but are you not? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, are you not okay? Like, what makes you not be okay? Because you feeling some emotions? Does that mean that you're not okay? And I'm like, well, you know what I'm trying to say. Like, and she's like, but I'm just, you know what I'm saying? Because I think we equate, like, if you going through some stuff or you sad that you're not okay, and that doesn't mean that you're not okay. It just means that you experience some stuff. Like, you feeling something, like, go ahead and feel it.
Right.
I found talking to myself helps with that. Like, not even on the weird shit. Like, there's times when, like, my day's going bad. I'm like, damn, girl, this is, like, the worst day. Like, I might feel a type of way. And then as the day's going, I'm like, you doing it, girl. You getting it done. Like, there's definitely times I'll be talking to myself. Then I catch myself like, damn, girl, you talking to yourself. But sometimes you gotta be your own motivation. Like, my biggest issue, especially like years ago, used to be accountability. I always felt like everything I had to do, I need an accountability partner. I need somebody to be accountable for me. I mean, I'm still like that with a lot of stuff too. But you kind of have to realize it.
Yeah.
And then be like, all right, well, now you have to hold yourself accountable. Yes. Stop waiting for other people to be like, girl, you supposed to do this or you got to do that. Do it to yourself. And I've been doing that lately. Like, I come at myself. I ain't gonna lie. And I mean, this podcast definitely helped because even with us just watching and playing ourselves back, we're able to kind of like judge ourselves.
Judge ourselves for sure.
Like, girl, why you do that?
Yeah.
Or why you feel that way? Or why you like even the one episode, like there's times when we do certain things and it's like, girl, you were triggered.
You got super triggered.
You? Like, why you start going on a tangent? Like,
Yeah.
So I definitely think that helped. Like being able to, even if you don't want to talk to an individual, if you're not ready for therapy, I definitely highly recommend recording yourself maybe and even talking to yourself.
Because therapy is not for everybody. And I want people to know that, like, therapy might not be for you. It might be something else. Like, you might be a person, like, therapy is for me. I am, and not, first of all, if you're a therapist, you need a therapist. Like, and that's just, because you need to decompress, like,
because some people are like, well, I'm a therapist. I know everything. Like, like some people might feel that way.
I mean, I was about to say, I would feel like y'all need more than anybody.
You have to think, too, like, and I, when I do therapy, I do it with kids. Like, so when you, like, I'm getting it from the kids, I'm getting it from the parents, like, that stuff weighs on you, like, you know what I'm saying? So, like, you need somebody, not even to just be in there saying, like, girl, that's what happened in, like, my therapist, like, you can't do that. But, like, just, like, decompressing your own stuff, because you also have to be aware of your own triggers, what your limits are. Like, there's populations that I can't work with because they're a trigger for me. So you have to be, aware of that, and aware of something that might be like not sitting right with you. Like, ooh, this person talked about this, and this, that brought up some stuff about myself that I didn't even realize I was dealing with. So, therapy is for me. I can only speak for myself. But I think I feel that way too because I have a good connection with my therapist. But if therapy ain't for you, maybe it's church, maybe it's a deacon you need to talk to, the first lady, the pastor. Maybe it's like you can do a self-help book yourself. Like, maybe you want to do like meditation.
Do some videos and talk about whatever you would talk to a therapist about and play it back. So that way you can analyze yourself.
Or like journaling. Like that's,
or writing it down.
Anything, like, I think you just have to figure out like what works for you. Because what works for me might not work for you or you. So you have to figure out like what it is that works for you. Like if it's writing, if it's music. Like when my dad died, like y'all should have told me to go to therapy because I literally could not get out my bed. Like I was crying myself to sleep every night. Like I think a lot of it had to do with like I was very emotionally immature. I was like 23. Like I was young. So I was very emotionally immature. Like but on top of all of that, like I felt like I probably should have went to therapy, but the one thing that helped me during that time was music. Like you couldn't tell me I wasn't Kurt Franklin and them people. I was in my car like, I'd be in the car going,
this is a gospel song.
I love a good gospel song.
Like I got my little harmonies. I used to be singing that word.
Yes. Oh yeah, I know. I was about to start singing it. I was so ghetto. But
we can't let them even know it because I'm still dropping.
Yeah, it's gonna be a drum.
No, because work, we used to be so stressed out at work. Like, it was
I know. Don't be like,
I used to stand up and I used to just start singing like gospel songs that I was making up to the point where people like, what's that gospel song called? I was like, I don't know, I made it up.
Yeah.
Like, I all to get through today.
It's
Like,
a made up gospel song.
and that's another thing I do too. I feel like I feel like it's a good part of me, but I feel like a lot of people do it. I use humor to get through my pain. Like you were saying, like with laughing.
Yeah, that's
like,
all I do.
Like I'll definitely crack jokes on myself or like just laugh about something that I've been through. Like it's definitely for me, or when I'm going through something bad, to try to be the person that makes everybody laugh. Or like I do feel like that's how I handle triggers.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think also like finding purpose in your pain. Like, and I mean that's a process, but like so I lost all the people I said I lost, but in between that I also lost 3 babies. And in losing those 3 babies, I also lost my fallopian tube. So I had to, I had 2 beautiful healthy kids, but I had to have them through IVF.
Oh, this is a trigger.
I know.
I am sorry, y'all.
No, you're good, because it's so funny, because on my way here, I was thinking about, I was like, dang, at some point we're going to have to do a childbirth video.
Yeah, you said that. You was like, I'm not ready for it.
And I sat on my balcony and drank my coffee, and I actually sat and like kind of pretended like I was on that podcast. And I was like, I know, here it comes. I'm like, I know I'm going to end up having to tell my story, but like you said, there's purpose in everything. And for me, I had a premature baby. My son was 1 pound and 8 ounces when I had.
So that was.
But see, this is good. Like I said, with you telling your story, and like I said, I don't mean to be, rude and butting on her, but it.
No.
Yeah, this is what we talking about.
Because I feel like sometimes, you never really know how something still impacts you. Yeah. And so, like, somebody talks about something, you're like, oh my gosh, girl, me too. Like,
and I'm an empath. So for me, it's like, I hear other people go through things, and I'm like, I've been there, so it makes me sad. Like, to know that you experienced that.
Yeah. And it you know what? It was one of the, I mean, I don't even know how my husband stayed with me. Like, I would have divorced me a long time ago, because, like, I, like, losing, 3 kids, like, I lost my fallopian tubes. For me, that was losing a piece of my femininity. So it was like, women are supposed to reproduce. Girl, you can't reproduce, because, like, and I was mad at the world. Then I would be, like, mad at people. Like, I would get clients that are pregnant, and I'm like, oh, like, I can't take them. Like, I can't do this. Or I would be mad at, like, babies are blessings, and I would be mad, like, that person had a baby, and like, all along I went through IVF, like, no problems, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, the doctor's like, I would go in and he's like, hey, egg lady, I'm like, hey, like, because he's like, the problem is there's no tubes there, like, and it's just because I had tubal pregnancies, but you know what I'm saying? Like, that was a very, like, trying time for me, and I think all of those, those losses kind of happened like this, like, it wasn't like a, this happened 10 years and 5 years later. Like, they were literally happening back to back to back. And I'm very, very thankful. Like, my kids were premature too. They weren't 1 pound, but I empathize with that. Like, cause I cried like a baby. I walked in there and I saw my baby under the blue light. I said, oh my God, my baby. What I'm gonna do? Like, when they told me I had to leave the hospital without my baby, the nurse finally came in and she's like, girl, pull it together. I'm gonna get you a room tonight. Like, you're gonna stay here with your baby. All for me just to go home. I was like, I went home. Like, I feel
like it just was like, honestly, when it happened, it was a nightmare. Like, it was something that went from being, it's just cause it's my first, it's my first child. It was Mother's Day. I had some cramping. I'm like, something wrong. We need to go to the emergency room. We go, he checks me, he's like, oh, the baby's upside down. Call your gynecologist, they'll flip it around and do an ultrasound. I'm like, okay. When I say 5 hours later, I was contracting. Like, I was already pretty much, my water had already broken. I didn't even know. So I'm like, we need to go to the hospital. So we get there, and they're telling me, oh, you're going to be fine. We're just going to fix everything. You're going to be good. And I get there, they just start shooting me up with a bunch of stuff. They're like, you're going into early labor. Why they're already
that's like so traumatizing.
And that's one thing I do want to touch base on too. Like, when you're a young Black woman, they treat you like you don't know anything. So it's like, I'm just going to tell her this. We're going to get her here, and then we're just going to tell her options. Like, it just is what it is. and they literally told me like, your only option right now is either we got to get him out, you're going to get an emergency C-section in 30 minutes, and it's either going to be you or him. Like, there's a 50% chance that one of y'all might die.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I just feel like, you know, as Black women, we carry so much. Like, so much. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we carrying our own trauma from childhood. You know, then when we become mothers, that is a lifelong, you will never stop worrying about your kids. Like, you worry about them in the womb, when they're out of the womb. And then if you have a significant, like, you worry about your siblings, you know, you have a significant other, like, you're worrying about your parents, like, you're worrying about so many people. Like, you are literally trying to carry the load. And, like, I literally told my husband the other day, like, listen, you gotta go heal, because I cannot be your lover and your healer. Like, I cannot be both. And I think that, you know, like, he went through probably like a lot of the stuff that I went through, and I think that, like, when you bottle all of that stuff up inside, like, like, that's not healthy. Like,
and that actually leads me to my "Are you done for this episode?" And I'm not saying it to be. Usually, it's like ignorant and funny, but this is real life. Like, are you men dumb who try to say that therapy is stupid? Or there's so many Black men who want to try to portray therapy to be something negative.
Yeah, y'all need it. Y'all need it.
Because we tired of carrying it.
They get mad when you say they need it. Like, you'll say, oh, well, maybe you should try to go to, oh, what do I need therapy for? You know how many Black men I know would say that? And it's
it's a stigma. Therapy is acceptable. Like, we're trying to normalize it, but it's a stigma because if you go to therapy, it's because you crazy.
Right.
That's what you know what I'm saying? Like, something wrong with you.
You just got some things you need to unpack, and sometimes it's not easy for you to do it with people that you know.
Exactly.
Or that you deal with directly.
Exactly.
When you think about when I think about Black men, I think about them giving us their problems, though. Just like we were just saying, like, when it comes to us as Black women, we always are taking on everything. It's like so crazy because we met sitting next to each other at work, me being pregnant and stressed out from work, and because she was so traumatized about her experience that happened, 6 years before that even happened, she was like, girl, you need to take a leave because it's not about to happen to you what happened to me.
Like, for me, it was stress from working. Like, you know, I was working 2-3 jobs, just trying to be the best mama I could be. And they literally, and it's crazy because it's like, you see all these, and I hate that stigma too. It's like, you see all these commercials where like, oh, well, if you smoke while you're pregnant, your baby's going to be little. If you drink while you're pregnant. I didn't do any of that. All I did was try to be a good mom is what I thought. Like, well, I'm doing all the good stuff. But at the same time, we have to be able to be mentally stable when we're preparing to be a mother. We have to be able to learn how to not spread ourselves thin. That's what I did. My son came early. So when I met Dom, I'm like, girl, if this place is stressing you out that bad that every day you come in here and you feel like you literally want to die, like you don't want to be here.
I hated it.
She would literally be like, this the week. I'm just gonna, you know what? This the week. I'm gonna tell my doctor to write me out this week. Then next week she's like, no, this the week for real. And I'm like, girl, you said that
eventually I got out of there. I was like, I can't be here no more. Y'all not about to do.
I was like, I do not want you to have your baby early. Like, I'll be so upset about that.
Yeah, I was so nervous. And it's so nerve-wracking being a pregnant Black woman because you're just like, first of all, I mean, it's my first time having a baby, so obviously that's nerve-wracking regardless.
Yeah, exactly.
But then you're also thinking like, are they gonna let me die in the emergency room? You know what I'm saying?
That's what I did the whole time. I was honestly, it was to a point where like, I think they gassed me up with so many drugs. I was like, honestly, this could be it.
Yeah.
Just get my son out of me. Like, I don't even care. Like, I was at that point where it was just like, you can give me to God right now. Just get this kid out of me.
Just get him out. Yeah, I told like my boyfriend on the way to the hospital, I'm like, don't let them kill me. He was just like, ain't nobody killing you. Like, ain't nobody killing you. And that's what we mean, though. We need to be able to lean on our men. Like, you know, y'all need to have that mental stability, just like we do, so that we can just lean on each other. You know, we need y'all to go to therapy, too.
Right. And I think, too, like, you know, like, you have to make sure that they're in a space to receive that, too. Because, like, I lost my mom and then my grandma. In the midst of that, my husband lost his dad. So, like, when I mean, our house is heavy right now. Like,
and your grandma was his grandma.
Yes, like, he's literally grieving her just as much as I'm grieving her. Like, even though, you know, she lived in my house for, like, the last 5 years. So, you know, we saw her every single day. Like,
and that's hard, too, like, grieving and being a mother.
Cause my baby.
Her babies are grieving. Oh my God.
He breaks my heart every night. Like, my baby, he's so innocent. And, like,
all right, so for our What's Really Good this week, I want to talk about the recent movies based around police brutality, like American Skin, Judas and the Black Messiah, which is obviously a true story, which is important. But I just want to talk about how I feel like we went from, in the Black community, slave movies to police brutality movies. And I think I watch them all. I feel like I have to. Like, you know, I feel like I have to watch them all. Like, not just, I don't know. Just because I feel like I need to know every single situation so I can prepare myself and my black son for it, you know?
Right.
So, but I don't know if it's healthy.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
I know for me as an empath, it's not healthy. Like, I try to watch stuff like that. Like, I never even got through the Central Park, or what we call it, the Central Park 5.
Yeah, that was
I never
hard.
fully got through that because I feel like it just made me feel so sad. Like, it just... I just didn't like the way it made me feel.
Don't ever watch American Skin though. Then,
no, I did.
Like,
I watched American Skin and that made me sad too. Just like 7 seconds. Like that's why I said I have to prepare. Like she said, I could do it, but I had to prepare myself for it.
Okay, gotcha. All right.
Before I watch something like that.
I think too it's like a reminder, like we think we free people, or we're not free people.
Yeah.
Like it's almost a reminder, like no, you're still oppressed. Like,
yeah.
So, and I think it's just like sad that, like, you know, my 5-year-old black son, like, why at 5 am I fearing that, like, he might die at the hands of police? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
it starts
like that shouldn't be. My son is 5. Like, he likes to play with Nerf guns, like in the house. Like, you know what I'm saying?
It starts
like,
as soon as they come out.
He has 4 little glowfish. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
he's so innocent, and just to think about, like, that's a real reality of a black parent, a black family. Like, you know, like you, and it's so bad because I feel like people always are like, don't make it about color. Like, and it's not, I'm not making it about color. I'm just, let's look at what society is presenting to us. Like, these are the,
my son
you know
said
what I'm
at one
saying?
point, like, Mom, are the cops gonna kill me? Like, when all that stuff was going on, like, he would be with his grandma watching the news, and he would watch that stuff. And I mean, he wouldn't say anything while he was watching it, but he would come home and say stuff like that, and it would be like, why is my 6-year-old son coming home saying this? Like,
yeah.
And just to think, like, no matter how well you raise your child, like, that can still be,
it can
you
still
know,
happen.
Reality.
It can happen.
I think it's just, that's another trauma, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I think, like, you know how I always, you know, say, black men, y'all need to heal, like, because we are tired of carrying y'all. But like, it is tough being a black man in society. Like, you know, you carrying the weight of your family, like, you trying to, you know, break, you know, what they say the norms of are black men in society. Like, meanwhile, while just simply trying to stay alive.
Exactly.
Like, simple things that, you know, should
and trying
not,
to be all
you know,
these things that people expect you to be.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just as a man in general. Like, I feel like as a man, people have these high expectations of you already, and then being a black man.
And trying not to be what people expect.
That's what I'm saying. You get what I'm saying? So it's like, you want to make your mama proud, but then you don't want to end up falling into a stigma of being what the media talks about. So it's like you're beating 2 odds.
Yeah. It's a lot. It's a lot, and we just have to help one another, like all of us. But what Soul was saying, how she, like, for her it's a lot to watch them. I think that leads us into protecting your energy, like that. I think is like the biggest thing. I'm really working on that right now because it's so hard. Like, we were talking about, I talked to both of y'all about this, about randomly the other day a meme came up about, like, being mad if your friends can't make it to something. Yeah. Right. And I was like, yo, like, that is a big deal for me. It's like, I don't ever want to make my friend feel like they have to step out, like, into a place where they're uncomfortable and their energy just feels attacked, you know, to do something for me. Like, I just don't want to ever make anyone feel like that because we've all been there. You know what I mean? We've all been there, like, yo, I do not want to do this, but you feel like you have to.
And then also not feeling obligated to go to shit because you don't want to hurt somebody's feelings as well, knowing that you can. Like,
yeah, for sure, absolutely. And just, like, I don't know, I just think that, like, we all need to be better at accepting the fact that people want to protect their energy. Yeah, you know, like, that should be enough of an excuse.
We have lives.
We have lives,
like, we're all grown,
emotions that we can't even identify. You know, it's like
we all need therapy.
We all need therapy. Like, we all need therapy.
I think the biggest thing is just setting boundaries. Like, and just knowing, like, I'm not going to do that.
Yes.
On that.
Yes.
And knowing, like, what's toxic for you. Like, I had this big thing, and I, you know, ever since my girl died, like, I had this thing, like, I just want to live. Like, when I go, I want to know that I did everything that I wanted to do in life. Like, I just want to live. I want to travel. I want to, do more than just being, you know, a mom. Like my life revolves around my kids. Like, so you know, I just say like I want to live. Like, and I think with that is like understanding like where my happy place is and doing everything that it takes to, you know, get to that happy place and stay there, because this year I'm just not giving stuff my energy. Like, if it does not serve me no purpose, bye-bye, baby girl. Like, no. I'm just not, like, I just, you know what I'm saying? Because I feel like when people say stuff about you, let me defend myself. Like, ma'am, no. If you feel that way, just by all means, let it ride. Does it pay your bills to feel that way? If it does, like, great, go for it. Like, you know, like, mind the business that pays you in 2021. And like, protect your energy. Like, set them boundaries. Get rid of them toxic people. Just because you know somebody has been in your life for a very long time does not mean that they're supposed to stay there. If they toxic, like, let them go. So
I love it.
But that leads me to my OG gym. Go to therapy. There's nothing wrong with going to therapy, y'all. My mom has always promoted that, you know, if you're going through some things or you can't figure it out, it's always best to talk it out. Like I said, you could start with talking to family and friends, and if you feel like you're not an outlet, you could try other options. Like she stated, you know, there's meditation, you could pray, you know, record videos of yourself, analyze yourself, just continue to find a way to grow within your space.
Go to therapy and protect your energy.
Healing on my people. Healing ground.
It was so fun having you.
Yes, thank you so much.
Finally made me cry.
I know. I said so was gonna cry, y'all.
When it comes to my baby, I be.
Of course, like we always talk about.
And we'll give you the elongated story. I'm just not. It's not now. Another episode. You guys will get there.
We'll have a whole like childbirth episode. Maybe you could come back for it. And cry. I'm surprised you didn't cry.
Listen, I kept on. James was like, "Are you gonna cry?" No, I'm not gonna cry. But like, you know, honestly, I feel like I'm so cried out.
Oh, gotcha.
Like, I have cried.
I think that's how I am. I'm going through a lot of trauma.
There's none there.
I'm more empathetic when I'm not going through trauma, to be honest. Like, if I don't have nothing at the moment that's weighing me down, other people's problems weigh me down.
And
then when I have my own problems, I'm not really worried about with anybody else. I'm so stuck in my head. Like, you know?
Yeah, for sure. This was a good episode. This was a get it all out episode. Like, this was a crazy episode.
Lay your burdens on the Lord and leave it there.
Yeah, leave
it there. Altar.
Yeah, but this needed to happen. We appreciate you so much. Is there anything you want to leave the people with?
Just heal, y'all. Like, and heal on your own time, at your own pace. Don't let nobody tell you that you're crazy or what you going through ain't valid. Do not let nobody invalidate how you feel, because how you feel is how you feel, and that's just that. Like, so I just, you know, in the process of, you know, you identifying whatever it is that you're going through and you healing, like, just make sure that you are living to your fullest potential, like spiritually, personally, professionally, all of that.
Awesome. Do you want to give them your ad name?
Follow me on Instagram. It's am__mo. That's AMB__MO.
Perfect. And don't hit her up for therapy, though.
I know. I cannot give y'all therapy. It's unethical, but I can put you in the right direction.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, just follow her, though. All right, you want to wrap?
All right, y'all. This was a great show. I definitely appreciate you coming out and, you know, poking a little bit of my triggers.
Yes.
I do appreciate it because I am on a self-cleanse journey. You know, just addressing things head on. If I feel that way when someone says something, let it out. Let it be known. Let it be known that I'm triggered. Let it be known, because that's the only way that people around you can really understand you. That's another thing as well. Some things we might feel from our perspective may be kind or caring. To our loved ones, might be the one thing that may trigger them.
Absolutely.
And not to be like, I watch All American. I don't know if y'all watch that, but it's something going on in the show right now where one of the characters is going through that. He didn't realize he didn't realize what his stuck point was, and it ended up being one of his close friends. Her actions caused him to go through his trauma, but he wasn't able to realize what it was until he sat down and talked with somebody. He talked to a therapist. So talk about it, guys. Be open and honest with the people in your lives, because they may not even be doing the things that you think that their intentions may be different. They may not have bad intentions, but it may just be something that may trigger you. And we have to learn our triggers, and we have to work on them. So thank you for coming out, Amber. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
The tissues came in handy.
No drinks this episode.
I'm not drinks up here. Everybody would have been here.
Now, if I was drunk, I'd probably like grab my shades. I probably sung an R&B song.
Not an R&B song.
Yeah.
Dang. We should sing on the way out. Oh, we should.
No,
She can sing. She can
no,
sing.
I cannot.
Yes,
That's
you
like,
can.
no,
You want the pretty girl privilege.
No.
You gonna end it for us.
I'm not.
Alright, well, can you just sing it with us?
Alright, I'll sing it with you.
All right,
And
y'all.
don't try to not sing it.
No, we gonna sing.
we sing,
You know we
though.
gonna
We
sing.
sing.
Cause you know I can sing too.
You's a lie.
We're singing.
Fuck you. Alright.
All right, y'all. It's your girl Soul, and life is too short to be born or broke.
And it's your girl Dom, and life is too short for anything but great vibes.
And this is
Pretty Girl Privilege.